Thank you so much for waking up with us on Daybreak. I'm Matt Howerton.
And I'm Dia Wall. We will have the latest on the war in Iran coming up. But first, we want to get you ready to tackle this Tuesday. We're starting with meteorologist Greg Fields, traffic anchor Erica Lopez. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, right now we're still just following that one overnight crash in Tarrant County, but otherwise, everything else we were talking about has cleared.
Buckle up for this forecast.
Yeah, you do need to buckle up. But today's going to be nice and quiet out there, but we do have a couple of weather alert days coming. The first will be Wednesday night going into Thursday, so please do just keep that in mind as you head on out the door. That's one of the things you do need to know with the weather alerts that will be coming our way. I mentioned Wednesday night and Thursday, then again Friday night going into Saturday. So we'll break down the chances for the thunderstorms that do return. Looks like late tomorrow going into early Thursday. They will be fairly widespread with that lower end severe weather threat that we'll get into as well. Now, it is going to be cooler for Easter weekend. We'll still have some rain and thunderstorm chances. Hopefully all that moves on out by just in time for Easter morning. So we'll get more into that as well coming up here in just a little bit. As we get you out the door right now, though, we'll have those low clouds rolling into the area, starting to see those move into the area here this morning. 65 degrees, gusty south winds, 15 miles per hour for you right now, gusting to 24 at our studios here in downtown Dallas. Everyone in the upper 60s now, so the kids heading off to the bus stop. Again, maybe a light jacket out there, but as we go through midday today, we'll see those temperatures climbing into the upper 70s, mid-upper 80s for those highs, mostly sunny skies and those gusty south winds as we head into this afternoon as well. But more on those storm chances coming our way in just a bit. Now back over to Erica, checking on traffic.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I want to check in on this closure that we have been dealing with on 287 in Tarrant County this morning. As you make your way right around, we can see here the backup beginning to form an FM 156. The actual TxDOT camera where the crash should be visible is not available to us. It is down. So this is really the best one that we can see. But earlier when we were zoomed in, we could see that everyone on 287 northbound here is being detoured off still this morning. So this is going to be the big thing to keep in mind if you're getting ready to head out the door in this area. Again, 287 northbound closed right around Blue Mound. So business 287 is going to be a good way to plan out your morning drive as a workaround. The rest of Tarrant County right now is actually looking really good. And as far as what we're seeing across the rest of North Texas, we're actually in pretty good shape as well. Switching you over here really quickly to our TxDOT camera at 35E and 35W in Denton and leaving you with a look at all that green on the map. Matt and Dia.
All right, thank you so much, Erica. Continuing our coverage on the war in Iran, now in its second month. Overnight, there were new attacks across the Middle East, one involving an oil tanker.
President Donald Trump says he's looking to make a deal, but is threatening some steep consequences if that doesn't happen soon. Here's ABC's Olivia Rubin.
Overnight, the volatility around the Strait of Hormuz sending prices skyrocketing. Gas reaching an average of $4 a gallon for the first time in more than 3 years, according to AAA. In Israel, an oil refinery catching fire. Israel says it was caused by debris from an intercepted missile barrage. The attacks coming amid this new threat from President Trump, warning the U.S. will be, quote, blowing up and completely obliterating Iranian energy infrastructure and drinking water plants if Iran doesn't make a deal and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Still, Trump this week insisting a deal to end the war could come soon.
They're agreeing with us on the plan. I mean, we asked for 15 things, and for the most part, we're going to be asking for a couple of other things.
But Iran publicly denying they're negotiating, calling the U.S. proposal excessive, unrealistic, and illogical. ABC's Rachel Scott pressing the White House.
So how do you square that? How do you explain that discrepancy between the two?
I think the American people are smart enough not to take the word of a terrorist regime that has chanted death to America for 47 years at their word.
Nearly 50,000 U.S. troops now in the region, including 3,500 sailors and Marines from the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. The president not ruling out a ground invasion.
And in the meantime, another oil tanker attacked in the Middle East, struck by an unknown projectile near the critical Strait of Hormuz. That tanker from Kuwait reportedly carrying 2 million barrels of crude oil. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Washington.
As Olivia just mentioned, the national average for a price for a gallon of gas is now over $4. Here in Texas, the state average is $3.68 a gallon. That's up more than $1 from this time just last month.
And today we could begin to see the initial impacts of sweeping changes to the state's hemp industry.
We've heard from some businesses that expect to take big hits as these new rules take effect. Our Natalie Haddad is joining us now from the newsroom to walk us through what this could look like moving forward. Good morning, Natalie.
Good morning to you, Dia. These new rules come from the Texas Health and Human Services Commission, changing what you can legally buy and what stores can legally sell. Supporters say this is about protecting public health, but critics warn it could wipe out an entire industry practically overnight. Now, going forward, THCA flower, pre-rolls, and many vape products will no longer be allowed on store shelves. That's because Texas is now counting the amount of all THC in a product as one number, so adding Delta 9 and THCA to get to the THC amount. Delta 9 is THC, and when THCA is heated, like when it's smoked or vaped, that's when it turns into THC. The new rules state that products can no longer be sold if they contain more than 0.3% total THC. Again, this is the part of the plant that causes a high. Licensing fees are also going to be jumping for businesses. Manufacturer licenses going from $250 to $10,000, and retail registrations from $150 to $5,000. Supporters, including some lawmakers and health advocates, say this is going to close a loophole that allowed intoxicating products to be sold with little oversight, sometimes even to minors. But critics, especially small business owners, say this is going too far, warning it could force shops to shut down and wipe out most of their inventory overnight. It would also limit access to those like veterans who use THC and THCA products for pain management or even anxiety and PTSD. Now, a report from Whitney Economics show just how big the industry is here in Texas, supporting at least 53,000 jobs and generating roughly $268 million in sales tax revenue. Now, with these new, very restrictive rules in place, some worry a big chunk of that money could disappear for the state. Matt?
All right, thank you so much, Natalie. 3 North Texas firefighters are facing child sex crime charges after a victim came forward with disturbing allegations. The Texas Rangers say the abuse began in 2022 in the Grayson County town of Howe, starting in the station where the victim was a junior firefighter at the age of just 16. Arrest documents claim that David Perez Glass assaulted her more than 24 times. The affidavit also says volunteer firefighter Dalton McCaslin admitted to having sex with the victim at his home. And a third, Joshua Riles, is accused of inappropriate contact. All 3 also worked at departments across the Metroplex but are now off the job. The Howe fire chief has since resigned as the investigation continues.
Right now, police in the colony are looking for whoever damaged this bus used for dogs. Denzel Andrew owns the Doggy Adventure Bus. He uses an old school bus to pick up customers' dogs for walks and training, but vandals broke nearly every window on the bus. It cost $15,000 worth of damage.
It's a big hit, and as well as I can't work this week. My dogs are all sitting at home right now.
After posting photos of that damage to social media, customers and followers have been donating to a GoFundMe to get that bus back up and running. As you can see, $14,700. Let's get Denzel back on the road.
Big lowlifes out there doing that type of damage to someone who's just trying to help the community. Now to 3 things that you need to know this morning. Classes at a school in Bulverde are canceled today after a shooting on campus. It happened Monday morning at Hill Country Prep High School about 30 miles north of San Antonio. The Comal County Sheriff says a 15-year-old student shot the teacher before taking his own life. That teacher was hospitalized. Officials didn't say how badly she was hurt. And a big day tomorrow, the U.S. Supreme Court set to hear a case on birthright citizenship. President Trump wants to change it with an executive order. He doesn't want it to apply to children born in the U.S. to undocumented immigrants. Critics argue changing birthright citizenship would be both unconstitutional and also logistically challenging. NASA is just 1 day away from its planned Artemis II launch. You can see the rocket right here on the launch pad at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida this morning. 4 astronauts will travel deeper into space than ever before, slingshotting around the moon before heading back to Earth. NASA says it's a major step in returning humans to lunar exploration and one day potentially to Mars. The launch is set for tomorrow evening, as long as weather or technical issues don't get in the way.
How many times have we been here?
A few. Let's hope for the best here.
Let's hope for the best.
Miss Pessimistic.
It is 5:39 on your Tuesday. And talk about scary in the skies. New video showing sparks flying out of a Delta plane right after takeoff. Coming up, how the airline is addressing the situation this morning.
Plus, Taylor Swift being taken to court. The title of her latest album has led to a lawsuit. That's coming up next in entertainment.
All right, one thing you need to know weather-wise, there's a look at Clyde Warren Park, 67 degrees, those gusty south winds. So if you're getting out to, well, maybe walk the dog, hold on to that leash tight, but go ahead and grab it, giving you that green paw this morning. Those upper 60s with the mostly cloudy skies. Warm and dry for now, but storms in the forecast. We'll talk about it coming up.
And this morning, it's already been a busy start. We've quieted down all but one spot. A little bit tough to tell here, but just up ahead, we've got a closure in Tarrant County on 287. So I'll show you what we have going on and help you with the best way to get around it coming up.